Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at the head lining for the Range Rover. I've already pulled this one out and I've already done half. This is the rear half. It comes in two parts in the early Range Rovers and it's made of fiberglass. I've already done the front half, and because I've already pulled it out, I don't have, I'll try and find some pictures, but these are very well known to have the problem of what is called the Bedouin tent effect, which basically it looks like the inside of a Bedouin tent. The lining comes away from the hard cover, and this hard cover is made of fiberglass. A lot of people think it's the glue. It's actually not the glue at all. There's nothing wrong with the glue. It's the materials. Originally we have the hard fiberglass, which has a nylon material which has a foam backing and is glued on. The glue is fine, it's the foam backing to the nylon that disintegrates and therefore allows the two to separate, so the nylon material sort of falls away and ends up bellowing down like a Bedouin tent. I unfortunately didn't take any photos or videos of what it looked like beforehand. If I can find somebody else's pictures to show you similar, I'll cut them in. But today what we're going to do is talk about how we can get around it. I've already ripped all the material off, being very careful because, as I said, this is fiberglass and therefore is very, very flimsy. Although it looks fairly sturdy, it is not, and it is easily broken. So you have to be very careful with them when you take them out, because they crack and they can just disintegrate. Okay, I've managed to get both of them out. I've actually put the front half temporarily back in, and I've actually fixed it. What we're going to do is look at how to prepare and get this ready to put back in the back half. Okay. Firstly, the preparation of this, once the material has been removed, you'll find that although the material has the foam has disintegrated and the material has come away, you can take the material away very easily. The foam is still stuck, so the dust is still stuck to the original glue on the head lining here. So one of the things we need to do is, firstly, and unfortunately I've already done this off camera, is you need to remove all of the foam. And the easiest way to do that, because it's like a powder, it's already disintegrated, the easiest way to do this is just to rub in a vertical orientation, and as you rub, the foam will break off and fall away. You will be able to see, I'm sure, as we go through this, some of the dust, foam dust, that is still on here, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so stay with me and I'll show you how we're going to prepare this and fix this, because there are some damages and we're going to make some slight modifications to make it a touch stronger in certain places, and we'll go through that. Stick with me, here we go. As you can see, there is some damage already in this just here. This damage we're going to fix, but the other thing, I don't know, you probably can't tell, it's quite rough and it's a little bit tacky. As I said, the original glue, there's nothing wrong with it, it still worked, but it is still tacky. The problem is it's difficult to do anything with tacky glue. So what we're going to do first is seal this, and we're going to use the PVA glue, the same material or the same liquid sealer that is used on walls and other things. Let me show you one of the other modifications. You may be able to see this, these bits just here. These bits here, see how it's crumbly and breaking? Along the edges is very touchy, and if you can just see, let me just turn there, right here, this is where these crumbly bits were all broken. I've cut them out, and this is an insert of plywood. Okay, I don't know if it'll focus, there we go. So this is a piece of plywood I've cut out, and this is where the grab handle fits. Now what we're going to do is, after we've finished sealing it, because this all needs to be sealed first, after it's sealed that will be glued in place, and then we will cover it with some paper and glue the paper on just to make this a permanent bond, and that will give us the strength, because when we screw the grab handle in, it actually squashes the fiberglass, and when you take it off it just disintegrates around the hole, as you can see from those parts. So what we're going to do is we're going to make up a solution to seal this the whole thing, and I'll be right back after we've made it. The sealer we're going to use is PVA, as I've already said, and we're going to do it in a ratio of 4:1. 4:1 is the usual ratio for sealing plasterboard and things like this before painting, and we're going to use this in the same ratio, 4:1, to seal the headlining before we do anything. That way it gives a nice solid untacky finish, and we can glue things to it, we can seal and fill these holes and gaps without any problem. Okay, don't think you need to see me mix it up, so I'll get and mix some up ready, and I'll show you when it's done. As you can see, here we go, we've got it mixed up. One of the things to be aware of is, because of the material this is made of, this soaks it up really quickly. The other issue is that you can't very well see where you've already been, so you really need to do this in a logical manner. Okay, the brush I use a nylon brush for this. The main reason for that is because I'm not really fussed about the finish, because obviously this isn't the finish anything, we're just sealing. The other thing is it's a lot easier to clean PVA glue from a nylon brush than it is from a real hairbrush, you know, whether it's horsehair or whatever type of brush that you use. So anyway, we're going to try and be logical about this. I'm going to go along this edge and then backwards and forwards across here as best I can, and then we'll get as far as we can. Okay. Well, rather than let you keep you watching this, I think I'll pause the video now. I'll finish all this off, and then we'll come back when we're ready to do the next bit. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. I haven't quite finished. I've only just done half, but I just wanted to show you. In between times, I made the second pot of glue a little bit thicker, so maybe 2 to 1 instead of 4 to 1, and as you can see it's going on actually white. When it dries it will be clear, but it does make it a little bit easier to see where I've been. The other thing I wanted to mention is be liberal, don't skimp. We want to make sure you get full coverage and it soaks in well. This will completely seal it, and the glue that's underneath, the original glue that's still tacky, will be sealed. It will become dry and non-tacky to the touch. So there we are so far. I'll finish off and we'll come back to it and I'll show you what we're going to do next. One additional thing I wanted to mention, where I showed you earlier where the dents in damage in the roof lining were, these are quite big dents in the fiberglass heading itself. You want to make sure you liberally fill these, not to a point where it's going to dry and fill them up, but to ensure that it is completely sealed. You need to be really careful because it is soft in those areas, but just make sure there's plenty of sealer in those holes, and I'll show you a bit more closer when I've finished. There we are, all coated, finished. I'll just move you in a little bit closer and show you the damaged areas which I was talking about with regard to ensuring they're liberally coated. In fact, we can take it off there. Okay, these two damaged areas here, I want to get as much in there and seal it as possible. Okay, one coat should be enough. From my experience, if you're not too slapdash and too quick about it and give a good coat, one coat is enough. It does soak in rather well, and that's okay, but it does dry and leave a sealed finish. So that's the whole thing done. Right, this is the area here which I was going to deal with first, although as I indicated earlier, I made a piece of plywood to go in there, so when the grab strap is screwed down, it's not actually crushing through the fiberglass, but this is going to be underneath and being underneath the straps and the screws. At the same time, it's going to support all the way around where the hole is. I've actually already started doing the other side. This needs to dry and seal first. You can't stick anything to this until this is sealed. So I've already started the other side, already sealed this section and started it. So I will show you the finished, or show you finishing the other side. Okay. So here we are, here's the other side. The wood is already in there. Okay. The plywood is already in there. This is just straight paper. Okay. And what we've done is folded it over the edge on the back and glued it to the back. The backing of this is paper. One of the things when you remove it to be very careful about, so you don't get too much damage, is the fact that this is actually glued to the roof of the vehicle. And if you're not careful, you can rip it. Even if you are careful taking it down, you can rip big chunks out the back. I will show you the other side after this has dried. But it's a bit like paper mache, really, what we're going to do with regard to finishing this off. Okay, so I will show you what we are going to do. Basically, this paper is well, actually, this paper came from food wrapping that did not have any oil or anything on. When in the UK, when you get chips or food from a takeaway, it's quite often wrapped in paper. Not so much now, more in the chip shops, but and this paper normally gets thrown away. Now the outer wrappings don't get soaked in oil or ruined, so what I've done is just taken this, and it soaks up because it's a natural paper as opposed to a bleached white like we use in our printers. It does soak up the PVA glue very nicely and actually sticks very well. So anyway, let's show you. I mean, you may want to, it's entirely up to you, you may wish not to use the watered down version when fixing. I have a couple of other damages on here which I will show you and show you how the same sort of fix, and I will go through that with you. So so what we're going to do is liberally coat underneath here. And then paint onto the paper, allowing it to soak into the paper. Doesn't matter if it ripples up, it will shrink again afterwards. I'll just finish this bit as well. In fact, there are a couple of spots which I can see that haven't been covered. So after it dries, you can actually see where it hasn't. I did this bit in a hurry. That's what I said about if you take your time and don't rush, you can actually make sure you only need one cover. But once it's sealed, it's no problem. And that's it. We leave that to dry, and that will bond itself on here. And when the rest of this is dry, I will show you. There's a big crack at the back which you can't see at the moment, but I will show you that. And I will show you right from the beginning on how we do this on the other side. Okay. So we'll be back tomorrow.